Hi everybody, this is Dr. Andrew Markey, consultant dermatologist and skin scientist, and today I'm going to talk about the fascinating subject of the history of skincare and makeup. Both of these contribute to increasing the visual impact of the human skin when judged by others. This is a critical role of the skin in facilitating our interaction and influence on other human beings. This type of cooperation sets us aside from other animals and underlines one of the main themes as to why humans have become so successful on planet Earth. It's often thought actually that most of this started with dear old Cleopatra, but in fact the first use of products to produce enhancement of visual impact probably goes back to 70,000 years. Specifically in the Blombos caves in South Africa, quite near Cape Town, both tools and implements as well as oils and pigments have been found, showing that obviously these items have been used to increase that visual impact in people. So 70,000 years ago is when we've got the first inklings of humans using something to improve on the natural appearance of what they have. Moving forwards to about 40,000 years ago, in many areas of Africa, multiple archaeological digs have likewise found tools and pigments, particularly something called ochre. Now, ochre comes in different colours, and it's a combination of a mineral called iron oxide together with clay and silica. And this has been used for body decoration in particular. And very interestingly, it actually has some sun-screening potential as well. And we think that Homo sapiens precursors actually used ochre, clay from the ground, not only to decorate the bodies, but also to provide sun-screening impacts. But the explosion and the real start of what you might think of as modern cosmetic treatments is best documented by the ancient Egyptian populations. And the well-known story of Cleopatra bathing in ass's milk, for instance, is grounded in good modern dermatology because ass's milk contains lactic acid, that's an alpha hydroxy acid, and that produces smoothing and hydration of the skin. And getting out of the ass's milk bath, patting her skin dry, she will have used a combination of olive oil and sesame oil to moisturize the skin. So skincare regimes are well documented in frescoes and paintings from Egyptian times, as are the early use of true makeup. So most images of Egyptian makeup are often driven by Elizabeth Taylor's appearance in the 1963 movie Cleopatra, with widespread use of black coal, which is eyeliner derived from ground antimony, around the eyes and the brows, and green eyeshadow come from malachite, which is actually a copper-based compound. So the use of coal around the eyes and malachite on the eye lids was very, very common. To get blushing of the cheeks and contouring and redness of the lips, red ochre was used in these areas by the Egyptians. And then to finish off one's makeover, henna, the plant, was used to stain the nails. So Cleopatra and all her followers will have used this approach to produce an equivalent of modern day makeup. At a not dissimilar time, the Sumerians, who lived close by in Mesopotamia, had formulated multiple perfumes, and these were the first use of deodorants. And in fact, you had to wait all the time from 3000 years BC up until 1952 for the roll-on deodorants to actually be introduced into the United Kingdom. and spray deodorants and antiperspirants didn't actually arrive until the 1960s. So they were well ahead of their time, the Sumerians. They were also the first developers of true soap. Soap for cleaning the skin uses a chemical called sodium hydroxide, or lye, and although it's a little irritating, it was a great product for helping clean the skin. The Assyrians, also in the same geographic area, much of which is in modern-day Iraq, became the masters of hair styling, particularly long hair styling and using hair styling products. The men shaved their heads but grew extremely long beards, and the length of the beard was indicative of the importance of the male in society. Some influential women used this marker by wearing false beards, believe it or not. One of the Egyptian pharaohs, Queen Hatshepsut, also wore an artificial beard to imply authority. Following the Assyrians, approximately 3000 BCE, the ancient populations of Greece and Rome praised blemish-free white skin. In Rome, prostitutes and wealthy people did use makeup, but it was thought that for the masses it wasn't appropriate, and enhancing natural characteristics was perhaps acceptable, but overemphasizing certain parts of the face, such as the lips and the eyes, was thought not to be acceptable. Breakthroughs in cosmetic procedures continued up until modern day, but all of these approaches have been based on increasing visual impact. Interestingly, a recent publication from the Dutch University at Tilburg showed that perceived attractiveness when somebody smiles gives a greater, preferable result than somebody who's undergone botulinum toxin treatment, and this received huge coverage in the media. But what the media didn't cover, however, was that compared to both botulinum toxin and smiling, the application of makeup gave an even greater improvement in perceived attractiveness. So the use of makeup is your simplest first step to increasing your visual impact. There have been very detailed publications on the history of makeup itself and skincare, such as Lisa Eldridge's book Face Paint. And for those of you particularly interested in the detailed nuance, you won't go far wrong by reading Lisa's book. Of course, Lisa Eldridge is one of the modern day gods of United Kingdom makeup, just like Charlotte Tilbury. They've both done fabulous work in educating the population on the use of modern cosmetics. So there we have it. A quick overview of skincare and makeup through the ages, literally. I hope you found it interesting. Hopefully some of those facts you didn't know about. If you've got questions, plant them down in the comments. Subscribe to the various channels, and there'll be weekly releases of these videos, which I hope you're going to find interesting. Please let us know if there's specific topics that you'd like me to address.